So if you are in one of these relationships of intermarriage, you should know, regardless of how many kids you have, want to have, all these different things, nothing good will ever come out of it. As you see, some of the most horrifying stories that you'll ever hear about the Holocaust is about those husbands and wives, because their husband or wife that was not Jewish was the one that told on them to the Nazis.
Bad advice. Look, fanatics tend to see the world only from one side. Look, if you're married to someone who is not Jewish and you happen to have a Jewish background and have children together and have suddenly decided to become now religiously Jewish, don't be an idiot, right? Don't be an idiot and destroy your children's world just because you chose to return to religion. And it's funny that the same rabbis who tell you to just pick up and leave and marry someone else will also say it's prohibited to encourage your spouse to become Jewish, which could actually help keep the family together. Yes, because most rabbis are not bright enough to know that encouraging Judaism was never prohibited in our religion. You know that halakha never actually prohibited converting for marriage, right? Can you imagine the consequences that these rabbis have created? The broken families that were made just because some idiot out there would tell such a man or woman, sorry, your only option is to leave because we don't proselytize. Not to mention that in the vast majority of cases, people who convert for marriage typically end up becoming more religious than the people they converted for. And what's even stupider is that they would never give the same advice to someone married to a Jewish person who happens to be an atheist, like that's any better. So I guess it's not about Torah at all, it's about blood. These people are moral idiots. And I'm not someone who encourages people of different religions to mix, but rather if you found a religion and you're married and you have kids, you first and foremost need to either encourage your other half to consider joining your new belief system or figure out some other way that will not end up devastating the children. And no, just bringing in a new stepdad or stepmom is not the right answer. And if you are in such a relationship and your spouse is a good spouse and a good parent, but just not Jewish, stay. Keep Torah as much as possible, but stay, right? If that person still refuses to convert. Remember, the prohibition we're dealing with here is not necessarily a Torah one, but a rabbinic one. Yes, the Torah tells us not to mix with the surrounding nations, but that's not the question here. In this case, when people are already together with children, and no, there was never really about Tshuva movement in history, at a time with no Sanhedrin and in Galut, it's better to make it work if you have kids. Now, if the person you're with is not a good parent or a good spouse, then yes, you should leave, kids or not. And if they're giving your spouse a hard time about converting, bring them down here to South Florida and I'll convert them for free. But keep the family together.